Okay.
Tell you what.
So what happened at the hospital?
So I go to the ER because I was having back pains and heartburn, real bad heartburn. And when I get there, the lady's like, what's wrong? And I said, my back is hurting really bad, the upper back, middle back, and I got kind of like this, and I did like that. And I don't know if it's, like heartburn or something. And she's like, oh, okay. So she goes and get a wheelchair. And I said, no, I'm fine. I can walk. She's like, oh, no, we don't want to take no chances. I have to do this. I have to give you a wheelchair. Okay, fine. So they wheel me back, and, the nurses come in there or whatever, and they cooking all this stuff. Oh, we got to do, EKG or whatever just to make sure it's not heart-related. And I'm like, well, I was trying to tell them that I don't, it's not a chest pain. She's like, oh, we still got it. I'm like, okay, fine. So they do whatever they're going to do. Doctor comes in, and he's like, what's the problem? So I tell him, I'm having real bad, back pain, and I have, like I said, I don't know if it's heartburn or whatever, here. I said, but, and he's like, looks at the monitor and everything, and then he's like, well, what are you doing here? I was like, what do you mean, what am I doing here? I'm like, hopefully, you could tell me what I'm doing here, and I told him, I said, my back is really bad, and heartburn. I think it's heartburn, I don't know, And he's like, well, is it bothering you right now? And I said, well, yes and no. I'm like, this stuff really isn't, but my back is, He's like, well, the specific spot on your back. I'm like, no, it kind of shoots all over. I don't know if it's a nerve or not. And then he's like, well, what are you doing here then? I'm like, what do you mean, what am I doing here? He's like, well, you're healthy, And I said, well, you don't even know if I'm healthy or not.
Right.
I said, you just looked at the machine. I said, I could be sitting here with cancer for all you know.
Right.
I said, you didn't do any blood tests or anything. Right. What do you mean? So I said, he's like, well, you just told me you had back pain, And I said, well, I said, and I'm having trouble swallowing. I said, can't, drink water as quick as I normally do. I said, and that's kind of scaring me, So he's like, yeah, well, have you followed up with your doctor? Did you go back to your doctor and tell him, I'm still having this, I'm still having, pains? And I'm like, well, I went to the doctor and they gave me I told him what was wrong. He gave me a blood test and he told me that, blood test came back good. Any further questions, come back.
Right.
So he's like, well, did you go back? And I'm like, well, no. I said, because, I said, look, I don't know if you ever had problems swallowing. I said, but it's kind of a scary feeling.
Right.
I said, and if I feel like, something's wrong with me, I said, I'm going to go to the doctor. I said, I'm going to emergency room, whatever. I said,
and you just went 2 weeks prior to the doctor. We just had a doctor's appointment.
And I said, so if I go back to the doctor, I said, and then I go get a referral to go get a test and then go back. I said, you know how long that process takes? I said, in the meantime, I could be dying.
Right.
I said, no. I said that, no. So he's like, well, why didn't you follow up? Kept asking me the same thing. And I said, look, man, I don't know what you're getting at. I said, but we're wasting time, I said, you need to do some tests or something. I said, you need to stop and take a look at yourself and see how you're addressing me. I said, because you're kind of abrasive, and kind of, aggressive, I said, and, I'm the one that came in here that, he's like, well, what about your back pain makes you think that it's something major?
And I don't even like how that's worded.
Right. And I said, well, I'm just saying, I'm very in tune with my body. I said, and I've had stomach problems and stuff like that. I said, but I've never had my back hurt like this for this long and feel like this. I said, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's nerve, if it's, what it is. I said, I just, heard that it could be something more serious.
Right.
And he's like, well, serious like what? I said, what do you mean like what? And I mean... I'm like, look, I'm like, what is your problem, man? I'm like, really? I said, I came in here, I'm not a doctor. I mean, so, he's like, okay, well, do you know why I'm asking you, if you followed up with your doctor? And I said, you keep asking me that, and I keep telling you, I'm not going to go go there and then go get a test and, you know, all that time. That's like a week's worth of time, you know. So he's like, well, you know, there's, you know, I have to go and do paperwork and this to justify something he was saying. You know, 'cause at this point,
really?
I'm like in shock. Like, really? Is this doctor, you know, sitting here acting like this is a house TV show? You know, what the hell? So I said, look, I'm just telling you, man. So whatever. So he left, whatever, and
he mad because he gotta do paperwork.
well, that's what it seemed like. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. So, you know, and he's got a, you know, total attitude. Oh, and then he's like, you know, I see you're staring at me. It seems like you're getting upset. I said, well, yeah. I said, because you're the one that's this aggressive, you
Right.
know, putting me like that, you know. I said, yeah. I said, I'm starting to get upset. I said, I came in here feeling bad. I said, the only thing you're doing is making me feel worse. I said, you're supposed to be helping the situation, not making the situation worse.
Right.
So he's like, well, you know, I said, you keep telling me I'm healthy. I said, and you don't even know nothing about me.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, well, I'm not done with my testing and my diagnosis. I said, okay, well, we're wasting time then. So he goes, okay, then they take me to, you know, get a chest X-ray and a back, the side X-ray, and they did a urine test, something else. But in the meantime, I overheard him saying outside, somebody saying, "Oh, I got, you know, your doctor on the phone." You know, so I guess he called the doctor or something. So then he comes back in, peeks his head in. Oh, you know, you think you'll be able to give some urine? Now his attitude's a little different, but not completely. So I
Because he went to talk to the doctor, and he know you're not lying about having just gone to see him a couple weeks ago.
I don't know, but that's all irrelevant.
It is.
So I'm sitting there fuming, you know, trying to calm down, and he's like, "Oh, just give him a GI cocktail, you know, it's some kind of antacid that's supposed to make my stomach feel better."
Okay, go
I told the
ahead.
nurse, I said, I'm trying. That's why no one's listening to me, because I'm trying to explain that this is not bothering me right now.
Right.
You know, it
That's
comes
not
and
the
goes.
issue.
My back is what's my concern, because I've never had that before, you know. So she's like, well, he wants you to take it. So I'm like, okay, so I drank it, whatever. So then he comes back in and says, oh, well, I'll be back in a second to review, you know, go over your stuff with you. Okay, you know. So in the meantime, I'm sitting there and I hear next to me, you know, the doctor diagnosed, hey, Heather. Yeah, the doctor diagnosed you with anxiety.
And her name really was Heather?
Her name really was Heather.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, because you know this is my favorite part. Go ahead.
Yeah, diagnosed you with anxiety, so, you know, there's nothing wrong, you're fine. And she's like, oh, well, you know, I didn't know. And the nurse was like, well, you know, it's better safe than sorry, you know, so don't worry about it, blah, 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 blah. So now I'm really pissed off, because I get this tongue lashing, scolding for coming in the emergency room, but Heather over here is, oh, you know.
Like, you wasting his time. He got to do paperwork. But Heather can come in.
I'm just saying, I didn't hear him talking to her like that.
Okay, go ahead.
So then he came back in, and you know, his attitude was a little different, you know, and he's like, you know, I got good news for you, you know, your chest is fine, your lungs are clear, your bones seem okay, you know, and he explained that he thought maybe it was, you know, reflux, and my back is probably some pull muscles or something like that.
Not related to reflux?
Right, that's why I asked him, I said, do you think that, you know, this is causing my back pain? He said, well, guy, at your age, I wouldn't think so. I would think that, well, you would have vomiting and some other symptoms, not, you know, that.
That makes sense.
Even though I think when my stomach thing is done, my back is better.
I know.
Okay, so I said, okay. He's like, that's the only thing I really can see. I can't really see anything that's wrong. I said, that's fair enough. And he's like, are we okay? I said, oh, no, we're not okay.
Good.
I said, because I just want to tell you this. I said, I value my life and I value life. I said, and you're a doctor and you save people. You're supposed to value life and other people's lives. I said, so the last thing you're supposed to do is make me feel uncomfortable coming into the ER when there's something wrong with me.
You said it more aggressive than that.
Oh, I did say it more aggressive than that. I said, and if Heather over there can be diagnosed with anxiety and she can come in the ER for anxiety and that's okay. I said, all that being said, I said, you owe me an apology. I said, not that I expect it from you. I said, but you owe me an apology. He said, oh, I thought I apologized. I thought I apologized to you. I'm like, no, you didn't apologize to me. I said, but that's okay. You didn't apologize to me. That's okay, though. That's fine. I said, but I'm just letting you know that you're not going to stop me from coming in the emergency room if I think there's something's wrong with me, you know. I said, this is my life, not your life. You know, I said, and you're a doctor, and you're supposed to be valuing life.
Right.
You should be supportive, not getting my blood pressure up, you know, getting me all upset, you know, making me feel like I'm wasting somebody's time and wasting your time. You know, I guess my life just don't mean anything.
Right.
So he's like,
and then you had told him part about, oh, I come in here, but you scold me, but Heather
oh, yeah, I did say that.
That's
I said,
the best part ever.
I know. That's what I said. I probably forget, but I told him, I said, Heather over there can come in with anxiety. I said, I only, you know, hope that she got the same scolding and tongue lashing, you know, that I got. I said, but, you know, I'm sure that didn't happen.
Right. You didn't. You sitting right there. You didn't hear that
so
part.
I'm sure that didn't happen. I said, but I get scolding and all that stuff.
That's the best part ever. Go ahead.
So
he said we good.
No. And then he said, that's when he said, okay. And he just set up camp. He's like, look. He's like, I am sorry. He's like, I'm just going to say this. He's like, and then we're going to move on. He's like, this is all I'm going to have to say about it. I said, okay. He's like, you know, I'm not the type of person that wakes up in the morning or goes to bed at night saying, oh, I screwed this person, I screwed that person. He's like, that's not me. He's like, do I get busy? Yes. And when I get busy, do I get short? He's like, yeah, I kind of get short with people. He's like, and, you know, it can come off as being condescending, like maybe you know, see whatever.
It ain't coming off. That's how he meant it. But go ahead.
That's one of my things about me. He's like, and sometimes I tend to brag about it. He's like, but that's me, you know. He's like, but I'm not that guy on the road that, you know, you cut him off and you asshole. That's what he said. You asshole, you this, you that. He's like, that's not me. He's like, so, you know, I am sorry. He's like, but, you know, he's like, you've been for a long time. He's like, so, he's like, I don't know if you've been through this phase in your career. He says, but, you know, you only can fix so much. You only can do the best you can do. He's like, and that being said, he's like, I went through a phase where I just didn't care. I just said, I don't care. I did what I can do. That's it. I don't care. He's like, but I'm not like that right now. You know, he's like, I do care. You know, I do value things. He said, but, you know, all I can tell you is, you know, I'm sorry. And, you know, I'm not like that. And I said, okay, fair enough. Held out his hand. We shook hands. And then he was like, okay. And then we did some other stuff, whatever.
That
wasn't the time he gave me a handshake.
Oh, okay.
So then he left. And then when he came back the last time, he says, he gave me a prescription or whatever. And then he said, are we good? And I said, yeah, we're good. So then he held out his hand. So I did the handshake. And it was like, bang. And I was like, whoa! Because if you can see this dude, because he didn't look like that at all.
How old did he look?
He looked like he could have been maybe 48.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, short white guy.
Okay.
Looked real anal though. And
he
so
probably
he
got
gave me
Napoleon.
like the kind of like brother handshake. You know? So I was just like, okay. So then when he walked out, and then he came back in and stuck his head in there and he said, "Thank you." And I knew what that meant. Because every now and then doctors need, you know, somebody to tell them, you know, what's.
They need to be
not
checked.
Put them in their place
Everybody need to be checked
but
sometimes.
Just because you're a doctor don't mean that you up here, I'm down here, and I can't say nothing, and you just can say whatever the heck you want to say to me.
Everybody need to be checked sometimes, self-included. Them 2 times that you checked me, and I needed to be checked.
2 times?
Yeah.
But anyways, that's the experience that I had. I probably forgot a couple things, but for the most part, yeah, it turned out okay. Because I was very upset. And I must have looked at him like I was going to choke him. Because when he said, well, you look like you're really getting upset. Because I gave him the your stare.
He's
apparently.
But he's a man, and from a man coming from another man, he knows when the line has been crossed. And he was like,
yeah, but I mean,
and it's so natural for him. He's like, I don't know when I did it, but I done crossed the line with this man, and he is here for me right now.
Because you're trying to process all this information. The only thing I could think was, this ain't fucking house.
Right.
I would fucking choke you. I mean, I'm the
out.
one that's fucking.
Don't forget the out.
Well, I wouldn't choke him out. I would choke him.
I would do the out part then. You can let me do the conclusion of the choking.
Yeah,
I would finish choking
But then
him.
I thought, okay, then he would be like, oh, that's typical of them, just get aggressive, But I'm just like, why is he scolding me? Like I shouldn't have came to the ER. I pay my insurance. I got insurance. I pay my copay. You getting paid. What's the freaking problem? Heather over here is having an anxiety attack. That's okay. Ain't nobody scolding her.
Right. Pull a Heather, not a Heather. Pull a Leslie on this bitch ass and take his own arm and wrap it around his own neck and choke him out with it. And remember she said, I'll take that bony arm. She said, I will wrap it around her neck and choke her out with it.
Yeah, because
I thought that was
I had a whole nother route I was going to go if it didn't go that way. Because I still was going to say something to him. But if he didn't change his attitude, it was going to be a whole nother conversation that wasn't like that.
Right.
That I don't even want to.
Right. But I think that's so
Not
beautiful.
that I was going to get ignorant with him, but no. And then I would have probably complained to the hospital. Not that it would do any good.
Right.
But I probably would complain to the hospital.
Right.
Bad survey,
but then when
whatever.
people not saying things, that's when things go, or coddling, or you got people in certain situations. That is true. You do need to be gentle in your delivery, but some things you don't need to coddle. Some things has been coddled long enough for it to just snowball. So it comes a time where you need to be like on some presidential look.
I was gonna tell him, I don't care if you're the best doctor in the world.
Right.
You are the worst representation of what a doctor
bedside
should do
manner
with his patients.
Bedside manner is fucked up, basically. Yeah, let me
Right.
translate that for you, boo.
Right. But it started from jump one. They all assumed that I have chest pains, and I was trying to tell everybody I don't have a chest pain.
Right.
I got like some heartburn stuff.
Right.
No, we can't take any chances. Okay, fine.
Get in this wheelchair.
Right. And then he come in. What are you doing here? What are you doing in here?
Cricky finna have a heart. Apparently, you look like from y'all look like I'm finna have a heart attack. Since y'all taking the proper precautions for that type of
What makes
thing.
you take your back pain serious? Wow.
Don't tell me he said them words after that word after word after word sentence.
Pretty much, yeah. What makes you think your back pain is that serious?
He didn't say that.
He did.
What was his name?
I wrote it down. It's on that paper too. I asked him too when he pissed me off the first time. I said, "What's your name?" And he told me, doctor. Whatever.
You might ought not give me his name.
But
y'all cool.
We cool now.
Y'all cool. And he needed that in his life.
I mean, he could even be my doctor. That's how cool.
Right, he needed that in his life.
Like,
I know.
He could even be my doctor.
I know. I could tell. I wanted to cry. I was all emotional because I could feel the male understanding and not bonding, but I could feel like he encountered a man as aggressive as he tries to be to other people. When he think it's almost like a uniform giving you authority to just deal with people any damn way, like a policeman.
Right.
Except for you're a doctor and people are now depending on you in terms of health. So what can they say? But whatever but he needed that today, and that's gonna take him. That's gonna take him into some other experiences in the future. He's still gonna do that shit to some people. Don't get me wrong, but there will be times where he's going to rethink it depending on the character of the person he's dealing with. Like, I can't just be dealing with this person any old kind of way.
He justified himself. He's like, well, I'm just gonna tell you, the only thing that I did different. The only thing I did different, I added a lower back test after talking to your doctor and looking in your medical history. Other than that, I wouldn't have done anything any other way. I said, well, no. I don't think you cheated me out any services. I
Right.
said, I'm just saying the way you're talking to me. You know?
That's in medical profession. The way you dealing with people is right up there with the medication. They're right up there with the treatment.
Right.
So
But no, it worked itself out.
good.
It's like,
I'm glad.
what the hell is this about? I've never had experience like that at the hospital.
Yeah, I'm glad.
So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for doing that for me.
Can I go fix the car now?
Yes, sir. I love you.